Another edition of Wings Weekly starts now. Jake Line-Connect here, along with head coach Scott Langer. Coach, 3 points out of a possible 4 on the weekend, on the road. That's not easy to do. You got to feel, pretty good, I guess, overall about that. A loss on Friday night, 3-2 in a shootout. Took a while to get things kind of going, but the guys tied things up, and again, take that to a shootout. And pull the point out of the week, or out of the night at least. Your thoughts as a staff? What did you think of Friday night?
Well, I mean, we played a really good third period. We had some monster chances that game. I think we hit 2 crossbars and had a 2-on-1 there that we should have finished. But we had the opportunity. We gave ourselves the opportunity to win that game, and like to have that extra point, that's for sure. But you got to take the point. Obviously, you're on the road and you're needing them to make a playoff spot. So I thought our last 4 periods were really good. Obviously the third period on Friday, and then the 3 periods we played on Saturday.
Right. Well, and I wanted to talk a little bit, like you said, there, it just seems like sometimes, and I joked with OC a little bit about Saturday too, he had what almost looked like a shootout kind of opportunity where he's just wide open ice in front of him. He puts one off the post. It just sort of seems like that, eventually those are going to go, and like you said, it's this time of year, you've got to find a way to make them go. But when it comes to the shootout, do you think, because I thought Cole Moore played very well. I mean, he saw 49 shots on goal and made 47 saves, and some really acrobatic standing on your head kind of saves. Do you think that goaltenders, maybe this is a better question for them too, but anyway, do you think they take the shootout personally? I mean, because it's just them and the skater, because I thought Cole played really well, but yet he seemed pretty disappointed at the end of Friday night's matchup.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's a competitor, and especially goaltenders, are gonna really get fired up for a shootout, and when you don't win it, it's they feel like it's on them.
Yeah.
So it's a hard deal.
It is.
And you hope your players can give him a lead and settle him in, and obviously we didn't do that. We didn't. Our attempts weren't very good. We work on it every week, but sometimes I think at this age level they watch too much NHL and think that they can pull off some of those moves. But Cole played fantastic. I mean, the whole weekend he was just solid. Gave us a chance to win each night.
Certainly did. I know when he came on the bus Saturday night, I mentioned that to him, that I just thought the weekend as a whole, and going back to that, for a 4-1 win on Saturday night, and 54 seconds away from a shutout. I wanted that for him so bad. But again, a huge win and a start. I mean, you score first. You just kind of seemed like Saturday night everything was clicking, and you really kind of set the tempo on Saturday night. Again, just blanket question, what were your thoughts on Saturday night's matchup? I mean, you mentioned that you felt like pretty good, solid game overall.
Well, that's been one of our better games in the last 2 months, from start to finish. We came out of the gates well. We scored early. Our defending was very good. I mean, the only goal we gave up hit about 5 shin pads that found the way to the back of the net, and obviously we all wanted to shut out. That's a big deal for Cole and for the team, but we played a good game, and all 4 of our lines were going, all of our D were playing, and when we do that, we seem to be a good hockey team.
Yeah, no kidding. It just special teams, everything just seemed like it was working well there on Saturday night. And again, you and I have talked about it. Not as an excuse, because everybody's got some beat up players and so on, but there's hurt guys, there are injured guys that are out of the lineup that are key components that are missing from this group, and having guys step up and jump into a power play unit, for example, that went 1 of 9 on the weekend, and the penalty kill was perfect, 9 of 9. So special team side of things really went well for the most part over the weekend too. You feel like that's going the right direction, again, taking into account that you're missing some key pieces of that.
Yeah, it's hard. You're at this time of the year, you're not knowing what your roster is going to look like until possibly game day.
Right.
So to be able to go out and work on it is hard, because you have interchangeable parts, and guys are practicing that spot, and sometimes you get a player back and he's going back in his role on the specialty team. So I think we're doing fine there. Guys are stepping up and playing different roles than they're used to playing during the course of the season. So, but I mean, the guys that need to be there, for the most part, we haven't had them. Yep. So, but yeah, I mean, that's what we got right now. Unfortunately, that's the hand we're dealt, and we're going to have to find ways to win.
Yeah, and able to do so there on Saturday night. A pretty convincing 4-1 win there for sure. You mentioned it in the pregame when I talked to you on Saturday night a little bit about Coach Stepan in video and so on, talking with the boys about managing the game. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's doing the right thing at the right time to give yourself a chance to win. You look at turnovers, how bad they hurt our team. Getting pucks deep when you need to get pucks deep. When you have enough to win a hockey game, pucks need to go behind their D.
Sure.
Your shifts need to be short, right? And you need to be blocking shots. You need to be doing things that are going to allow you to win a hockey game. And at this level, sometimes that goes by the wayside. Guys are so caught up in the game that sometimes they don't realize that the little things is what's gonna win you a hockey game.
Right.
So we talk about managing the game a lot, and I think our guys have picked up on that. They did on Saturday. There was a lot less turning over the puck, and puck was being managed, and it was going to the right spots, and we made good plays.
Kind of reminds me almost a little bit of the small ball argument when it comes to baseball and so on, and some of the fundamentals and some of the things that need to be done that aren't the attention grabbing home runs and all that kind of stuff, but it's just doing the small things, and part of that is blocked shots. I know you're a huge fan of that, and rightfully so. But block shots on the weekend, I thought, were really good Friday night. I mean, a guy like Nick Comfort. I mean, several times I saw him, take a knee and get big in front of a puck. Anderson, took one that obviously hurt. I mean, they're definitely a stinger. The guys were stepping in front of pucks over and over again. There's so many similarities in different sports and so on. Like, you can use all kinds of things, whether it's scoring, whether it's teamwork, whether it's whatever, different sports, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, whatever. And hockey, there are some comparisons. Blocked shots is one of those things that really, I was struggling to kind of come up with some sort of another sport or another play or another, something in another sport that is comparable. But I was watching the Quinnipiac in Ohio game last night, and guy takes a puck and the bench just went nuts. And I'm going, what other sport does that? What does it do for a team? It motivates them in a way that I can't really relate it to anything else.
Well, it should, right? Yeah. You hope it does. A big block shot should animate your bench in split second. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's a concerning thing for a coach when your guys aren't excited for a guy like Nick Comfort, who sacrifices his body every shift to defend. But block shots we took 3 out of 4 points, and we blocked a lot of shots. Yeah. The games that we don't want to block shots, we don't win. Yeah. And there's been a lot of talk about that area and sacrificing your body for the last how many weeks, and I'm hoping we got over that hump a little bit to the understanding that if you don't block shots and you don't sacrifice your body, you're probably not going to take a point in this league. And I like block shots, but I like block shots because I need to make you understand that it's an important part of the game, because when you go on to college, it's expected even more. And obviously you get in the NHL, those guys block a lot of shots, and I think a lot of people watch National Hockey League and they just watch the game instead of just watching the small things that these guys do and the rate that they do them at. I mean, guys are making millions of dollars just to block a shot, and it's just there's a direct correlation to us blocking shots and sacrificing our body to our points. Yeah. When we do it, we win.
It's the same principle we talked recently about physicality and about how the human body, the mind doesn't want to get hit. It's something you have to kind of train yourself to do. Same thing, your instinct is to get out of the way of something that's flying at you. But like you said, it's funny, Tom and I actually had this conversation on the bus this weekend about guys that have made a living in the NHL with reversed hits and blocked shots they've made a career out of it. Mm-hmm. It's certainly an art and a huge part of the game for sure. I thought it was amazing to see the guys really, playing big in front of Cole Moore too. That was great. Anyway, moving along here. Austin, as far as the standings go, top of the division, they have clinched now, 74 points. They have obviously the lead and again clinched the division. North Iowa with 61, St. Cloud with 60, Wings with 58 in fourth, and Minot 54, and Bismarck 52. Now everybody's got 54 games in now, so everybody's evened up with Austin and St. Cloud being idle on Friday night. So that is no longer a factor, but obviously as we keep talking about it, and I feel like I'm talking about all the time, is that how close the division is. You've got Minot, then 2 weekends against St. Cloud. Minot comes in 26, 1-1. They split with North Iowa over the weekend. You know, we know that they have a very prolific line that is one of the more dynamic lines in the league overall. What's your approach to this weekend? What's your message to the guys as you go down the stretch here in the final 3 weekends?
Well, I think the first thing is I want to grow off last weekend. I want to take that effort that we played on Friday night into our home building, and you have to start winning games consistently if you're going to make the playoffs, and then obviously you want to be winning when you're in the playoffs. You don't want to be, not having confidence. So, shouldn't have to get a team up for this type of weekend. We're playing Minot, and we know how they play, and they're fighting for their life to get in just like we are. And there's going to be a lot of emotions in that game, but there shouldn't have to be a whole lot of talk about how important it is and to be fired up on your home ice to win games.
Very true, very true. Well, it's funny, even this weekend, one of the scratch players up running the Steve by me, I think we were at a media timeout or something, and he looks at me and goes, man, this feels like a playoff game. And I'm like, well, it kind of is. I mean, Bismarck is, fighting for their lives at this point too. Everybody is, with the exception, obviously, of Boston. All right, well, Coach, again, as I always say, I know it sounds so repetitive, but I really do appreciate you taking the time, to sit down and talk with us. I know you've got a lot going on and a lot to prepare for, but thank you so much for joining us and, kind of breaking down the weekend and giving us a little foretaste of what's to come here this weekend to get at home against Minot.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, second portion of Wings Weekly comes up after this.
Time. We're going to be here all day.
Once upon the greatest of all times.
Who's this? It's Kyler Murray. Kyler. Bring my phone to 6th Street. We gotta wrap this up. We're looking for Kyler! Just left. Janae!
I'll take those wings, though. Wanna catch the game? Yo, Josh, what's up?
Yo, Janae!
Josh.
To the film room!
Whoa! Wrong quarterback. Can't even see the screen. B-dubs. Where's my phone?
Wrong quarterback, bro. To the greatest of all friends!
To the greatest of all times, Buffalo Wild.
The second portion of Wings Weekly continues on, and as usual, a player is joining me. This time, a Finland native, Roope Tuomioksa. Thank you so much for taking some time to join us here. It took me a while to kind of get your name down, even though on paper I'm like, oh, that just shouldn't be that hard. But then somehow when I was trying to say it in my mind as the play was happening, it just wouldn't come out fast enough. But so thanks for the patience there. I normally kind of start out with players asking them about their hockey journey, how they got started playing the game and so on, and about how they became an Aberdeen Wing. In your case, though, it's a little different because while I've met a lot of parents over the years, usually it's halfway through the season or whatever, but I got a chance to meet your dad right pretty much when you first got here. So I knew, a little bit about how the process went and how quick it was. The whole getting the visa, getting to, from Finland to the United States and all of that happened in a really short period of time for you, huh?
Yeah, it was maybe like 1 week period of time when I had to make the decision.
That had to have been, kind of stressful, right? You're thinking, well, I want to go do this, but there's so much to and a limited amount of time, that kind of puts a lot of burden on. What were those conversations like with your family, with your parents and so on to make that decision?
Well, firstly, we talked about school, because that I'm still in high school. That's important to
finish that, graduate.
To finish the graduate, yeah, and then like, can I handle it for myself?
And
like
still
being here.
Sure. Well, and still have practice and games and all that stuff. It's not an easy thing. Sometimes, there's a lot to juggle there for sure. You're committed to Augustana University, which is obviously, only 3.5 roughly hours away. And we've got guys in this locker room from Sioux Falls there, and I kind of wondered if maybe that was part of the decision. Like if you're going to go to, university or college there at Augustana, that maybe that would this is a little bit of a footstep or a way to kind of get used to the area, and as far as climate, food, people, everything. Did that factor in at all?
Yeah, that was we talked about a lot about like moving to South Dakota and like living in a new country, and like just getting used to it, so I'm ready to go to university.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I kind of thought that. I thought this way at least you know what you're getting into in a way, instead of getting thrown into a situation that's like, oh my goodness, because where a lot of times when I talk with European players, or heck even players from the U.S., they've played in other countries, maybe in Canada, maybe in Switzerland or whatever. You pretty much your whole hockey career has been in Finland, so to have some exposure to another country and so on was something that you didn't really have, starting out when you got here. So what were your first impressions kind of when you get to the United States and get to South Dakota and you see this barren wasteland of snow?
I don't know, like, I mean, it's not that different when you think about it, but like maybe first impression was fans. They're great here and they give you so much energy.
On game, like game day stuff for sure. But even away from it, I see a lot of pictures and stuff where you're being out, involved in like going out to Spurs or going, to different community events and so on too. You're finding that people are pretty welcoming.
Oh yeah, that's completely new to me. To those volunteers and all those stuff like that. And but I like it. I like it here. So I don't mind doing those like on weekly basis.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was watching a thing about Kirill Kaprizov, even how that was something new to him when the Minnesota Wild take him to schools or just something like that. He's like, what? We don't do this where I come from. What's going on?
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that maybe that is sort of just a U.S. thing or whatever, because it's not just certainly not the Aberdeen Wings, but pretty much every team that I can think of or that I know of in the North American League or NHL or whatever, they have some events and so on where they are out in the community, maybe visiting a hospital or whatever it might be. So I got to ask you a couple questions about Finland as a whole. Now, I know a little bit, just from the years of having players or learning a little here and there. But saunas are a big thing in Finland, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We are going in the sauna probably like every day back home, and that's like. I just love it. Like,
is that part of the culture, or how does
Yeah, I think that's part of the culture, and like it helps you relax and get your fluids out of your system, and it's good for recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, like a big part of an athlete life.
I need to do that. Sweat out my sins.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, another question I've got here for you. Now, and it's kind of related in a weird way. I read something that Finland is the happiest country in the world for the 6th year straight. 6 years straight, Finland has been ranked the happiest overall country. And one of the components, or one of the reasons for that, was because of faith in the government and overall well-being, health, food, all of those kinds of things. Is the sauna part of that, do you think? Is the sauna part of what makes Finnish people so happy?
I don't know. Might be. Honestly, I have no clue.
I found that really interesting. That it was like 6 years straight, Finland has been rated the most happy as far as their population goes. The people as a whole are considered to be, like less stressed. And I thought, I wonder if that's related to the sauna. And you said it helps you relax.
Yeah, so. It might be the one big part.
Yeah. All right, now I got to ask you food. I always ask European players about food because I think that's fascinating, and I know that we have a lot of sweets and there's preservatives and so on, different things like that in our foods that kind of make them a little different than what you might have in Finland. What have you found, here in the U.S. as far as food goes? Are there a lot of differences?
Well. On a weekly basis, we eat pretty much the same kind of food: chicken, rice, pasta, all those. We eat those in Finland too, so it's not that different. But maybe like when you eat after a game, sometimes we are having here pizza or burritos or stuff like that. That's maybe the biggest difference I can get.
Okay. Well, again, the food thing always interests me. What is there a particular dish maybe or a meal that you get at home that was one of your favorites that you can't get here? Is there something that you kind of miss when it comes to the food side?
Actually, no. I don't have that one dish I'm missing, but.
Well, that's good, right? Because you don't want to have somebody, dying for
Yeah, Robbie and Larry, they're making really good food. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, no doubt. I mean, I don't doubt that a bit. But I just thought maybe there was something particular that wasn't available here or whatever. And again, I know your billets, Larry and Rob, and they were kind enough. I mentioned that I got to meet your dad early on, and kind enough to invite me over to talk with him a little bit. So that was pretty awesome. And you get a chance to see him, and kind of for him to kind of see where you're going to be as a whole, because that's got to be a little bit of a relief, or a lot of relief to a parent too. When you send off a child off to another country in a whole nother area, but you're not an only child. You have at least one sister that I know of, right? That is a competitive figure skater. Is that right?
Yeah, I have an older sister back home. She's a figure skater. I think she's now injured.
Oh no.
I'm not 100% sure, but.
So, we're talking like Olympic level, World Cup kind of levels?
Just
pretty good, I hear.
I think she's only good in the country.
Okay.
What I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. So skating kind of runs in the family for sure. What have been some of the challenges and changes? I know, obviously, in Europe you play on a bigger sheet of ice, or what we call an Olympic sheet here, which creates a little bit more space, a little more room to move, and it's not maybe as physical. There aren't as many board battles, and there are those kinds of things. Has that been difficult for you to kind of adapt to that style?
Well, firstly, when I got here, it was pretty different. Like, it took some time to get used to play in smaller ice, but for overall, it's a little bit easier to play in Europe because the ice is that much bigger, so you have more time to make a decision. And
sure, a little more reaction and maneuvering.
Yeah, and the game here is more physical, so that was so new to me. And like in Finland, we don't have fights or nothing like that. So
I hear you're a really competitive guy, though. So the whole fighting, pushing, shoving thing, it wouldn't be much of a surprise, or probably something that you adapt to fairly well.
Yeah, sometimes my blood just boils over.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's funny, you hear commentators and so on talking about a guy making a move in a phone booth or something like that, and of course, really aren't anything like phone booths anymore, but. It's a saying that's been used over the years to be able to maneuver in a small space, and how that can be difficult to master sometimes, for sure. All right. When you have a guy like Gulliksen in the locker room, does that help? In a sense, having a guy that you can kind of bounce questions off and stuff, that knows a little bit about where you're from, obviously, but also that he's been here, when how much of a help has it been?
He has been such a big help.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
to have another Finnish player, you know.
that helps a lot because, like, sometimes I don't understand completely, like, what's the drill is going to be, or like when we have power play meetings, or you know, he can like guide me to do the right thing, and like he explains me all the stuff I don't understand.
Yeah.
So that's a big help, and it's nice to speak Finnish sometimes here.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to another question I'm going to get to here in just a moment. But the you know, I kept thinking of that, and I know that he's 17 goals on the season. He's a leader here in the locker room, does a lot to help out, and I would only imagine that it would be a huge asset to have him be able to help out. Your English is fantastic, by the way, especially for having never left Finland. But still, there's going to be some obstacles. There's going to be some challenges there
for sure.
Now, I got to ask you, we played Bismarck this last weekend, or you guys played Bismarck, and you have a guy like Jantanen, who's also Finnish, and you're saying that it's nice to speak Finnish back and forth sometimes. Do you guys do a little chirping?
Yeah, we were chirping back and forth whole game. I mean, like that's funny sometimes because like no one else can understand what we're talking about, and like in front of the net, me and Wertzi were switching, chirps and like just laughing at each other. So
during the game, I even noticed this actually, and I commented. I'm like, I wonder what they're saying, because you could just tell that there was some back and forth going on, and nobody else can hear it. I always give Nikolai Tishkevich, a difficult time, or tease him about that too, because I know that he will speak, Russian, and kind of like yell at the referee or something in Russian, but they don't know what he's saying.
Yeah.
You can tell his body language, he's not happy about something, but you have no idea what he's saying, so you can't get a misconduct or anything like that. So that's fun. All right, so I got to ask you, you've been here now for a while. Is there any place, like if you could snap your fingers and you would travel and go on vacation or on holiday, anywhere in the world, where do you suppose it would go? Where would you choose?
Probably Florida or California.
Really?
Yeah.
In all the world, you're going to go to the one of the states here in the United States?
Yeah, probably, because like there's a lot of sun. I like sun sometimes, and I've been in Florida once.
Yeah.
On a vacation, but I don't know. I like the sun and all the
beach stuff.
The beach stuff, yeah.
You can go down and visit Devo.
It's
down there.
Yeah, you gotta probably do that.
So I mean, I always think places that are like Crete or Greece or Bali and places like that are tropical but more kind of mysterious and stuff. So when I think, Florida, if I could go anywhere, it's definitely not California. Florida, I would probably consider. But anyway, all right. So we're going to wrap things up here. I know I'm keeping you for too long here, but as a player, I always ask guys, you've seen Minot, what do you have to do? Just talk with coach about some of the keys as we go down the stretch here, closing out the regular season. What do you feel like as a player that this team, this group needs to do? Like, what is the important thing that leads you to winning? I talked with coach about physicality last week. This week, I talked to him about blocking shots and those smaller things that maybe go missed by some. Do you suppose that's part of it?
Well, I think our team needs a winning mindset. Yeah. Like, all those physicality and blocking shot stuff, they come with the mindset. So I think that's the biggest part we're missing right now.
And it showed on Saturday night. Saturday night, Coach and I just talked about. You could see that winning mindset. You could see the guys willing to take blocks and different things like that. And if you can keep that going, the good things happen.
Yeah, that's the key. Just keep it going.
For sure. Well, I mentioned I heard that you're pretty competitive. I understand that there's some I always called ship captain crew or 654 horses, whatever, different dice games that you guys play with your billet family and your billet brother and teammate, of course. Lindsay has kind of dominated, but you won a couple of games, it sounds like, against him, huh?
Yes. I don't win a lot on that game, but
It's pure luck. Let's be
Yeah, it's
honest.
pure luck, and Luke is so lucky sometimes. I get pissed off.
Yeah.
He's so lucky sometimes. Shout out to Luke.
Yeah, I talked with him last week. Actually, he was telling me a little bit about watching movies and stuff with you, and how many different movies are new and so on. So that's kind of cool. So you mentioned a shout out to Luke. How about anybody else? Anybody at home maybe that might watch this? Your folks or your family, friends?
Yeah,
whatever?
for sure. My family. Gonna give huge shout out.
Some friends back home there too?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I've got for you. I won't keep you longer. I hate to put guys on the hot seat, so to speak, but it's always fun getting to know you guys and letting fans see a little bit about what's going on under the helmet, so to speak, you know?
Yeah.
And what's going on in the locker room. So thank you so much. Wings will be at home, as I was just talking about, with Minot Minotauros March 31st and April 1st. Doors open at 5:30 and the puck drops at 7:15. Aberdeen Hockey Association night is on Friday night. Free admission to all Aberdeen hockey players, and we welcome the Glacier Lakes Energy as the game's corporate sponsor inside the Automax Party Deck. Saturday, once again, doors open at 5:30 and the puck hits the ice at 7:15. Thank a Farmer Night. $2 off tickets for people wearing anything Agtegra, with party favors at the door. We also welcome Dakota Automotive as this game's corporate sponsor inside the Automax Party Deck. As always, tickets are available online at tickets.aberdeenwings.com or at the door on game nights. $10 general admission tickets are also available at any Sea Express location in Aberdeen with additional purchase. Wings and Aspire Bowling Bash coming up this Sunday. A lot of fun. Get a group of up to 5 people, and the 6th person will be a Wings player. Now, it doesn't have to be 5. You can have 3 or 4, whatever, but the extra person would be a Wings player. A lot of fun and great fundraiser for Aspire at the Bowling Bash at the Village Bowl from 1 until 3 this Sunday. End of the year award banquet tickets are still available. Go to our website and scan the QR code to reserve your seats. The banquet is April 16th from 6 to 8 at the Yilda Shrine Center. The deadline to get your tickets is April 3rd. Don't forget, you can listen to Wings Weekly via our podcast. Find the audio for this season's episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit AberdeenWings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. Once again, Roope Tuomioksa, I appreciate you so much taking some time out of your day to join us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, folks, that'll wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.